That day I was terrified of going to the hospital, my lower abdomen ached and I was spotting just enough to scare me. I never expected fate to drop my husband, stretchered out of a hotel bed, straight into the right in front of me. Word was the sex got too rough and a toy snapped inside him. Yet only an hour earlier he'd texted that he missed me. I stared at the paper in my hand. 8-week ultrasound. Before we go on, do subscribe to this channel and tell us in the comments where you're listening from. The doctor's voice buzzed in my skull like a curse. The instant I heard the word pregnancy, my scalp prickled. Then a creeping nausea crawled over me. Before marrying Chase, I declared, over and over, that I was child-free for life. And every time he swore he understood and respected me. Ours was the classic campus to wedding gown fairy tale. Years of love had left me 100% trusting. He was steady, mature, capable. Because of the child-free decision, we'd endured endless side-eye from relatives. Yet he always defended me without hesitation. 3 years into the marriage, Evelyn had gone from subtle hints to outright demands. And each time Chase had quietly swept the fallout away. Handling in-laws has never been my strong suit, but he'd said, I promise, while I'm here, no mother-in-law drama will ever touch you. And he'd kept that promise. He always handled it perfectly. I thought he understood me, cherished me. In truth, I'd always known how crazy he was about kids. Whenever a cute baby reel popped up, his face lit up in a way no actor could fake. Yet the moment he turned to me, he'd smother that longing. More than once my heart ached for him. I even considered scrapping my principal and trying for a child. For countless reasons. I'd never wavered in my resolve to stay child-free. But now, I didn't dare imagine what strings they pulled to knock me up without my knowing. Blind with rage, I dialed Chase on the spot. Suddenly a figure barreled past. I didn't see it coming. My phone clattered to the floor. A rushed, sorry, floated back. I looked up, ready to explode. The culprit had already rounded the corner and vanished. A familiar ringtone sounded right in front of me. The second I spotted Chase outside the it felt like a bucket of ice water had been upended over my head. Bone-deep cold. Chase's hoarse, barely restrained howls echoed through the whole emergency ward. People these days, zero self-control. Look at him, screaming like that. What good does it do now? Don't know if it was worth it, but the shame's real. The paramedics said the room looked like a sex shop, every gadget you can name, and the guy had doped up. The drugs are so strong the surgeons aren't even sure how to operate. The girl freaked out. They said she's the Vanderbilt heiress. She bolted before our crew got there. I clenched my fists so hard my palms throbbed. The pain the only thing keeping me from exploding. In full public view. Good breeding kept me from turning into the scarlet-faced, screaming wife. I couldn't believe that the man I dated for 5 years and married for 3 would ever cheat behind my back. The betrayal churned my stomach into a tsunami. I bolted to the restroom, bent over the sink, and vomited until black spots danced in my eyes. A passing woman was startled by my state. She patted my back, lifted my hair, handed me tissues. Later she spoke to me, but I heard nothing. I'd always been the neighbor-envied trophy, husband obedient and perfect. A 24-karat catch who could cook a full spread at home and, outside it, pull down $1 million salary as a VP at a multinational. Tall and handsome to boot. And me, well-off family, a Vanderbilt shareholder, running my own Vance Cafe after marriage. Free time spent on plants or brunch and shopping dates with my bestie. Still pretty and footloose at 30, looking at my pale, haggard reflection in the mirror. I swore that after wasting 8 years on a dog, I'd make that dog choke on its own vomit. I would divorce him, and I'd make him personally destroy the child he'd always wanted. Along with every dollar I'd ever sunk into him, I'd drive him into the gutter. Reputation shredded. Bank account zeroed. With that vow, I inhaled sharply. I turned and left the hospital without looking back. Money talks. In 24 hours, I had the hotel ledger and security footage from the night Chase was injured. On video, I could clearly see the woman wrapped around him. Blair, the Vanderbilt heiress. Also, the designated next in line at Sterling Corp., the company where Chase worked. Sterling had been slashing staff for 6 months. Internal competition brutal. Chase had complained more than once that he should have been promoted to general manager half a year ago, but a Vanderbilt nephew had parachuted in, landing the same title and vying for the single GM slot. The investigators' file showed Chase had hooked up with Blair 6 months ago, right after that nephew arrived. Connecting the dots. I understood everything. It had all been for profit. To maximize his gain, Chase had stayed true to form, unafraid of collateral damage. Truly the man I'd once had the taste to fall for. I gave a cold laugh. Though injured, Chase still had enough sense to lie, claiming he had to leave town on business to Chicago. Perfect. I didn't want to look at his face either, to keep him off balance. I even offered sweet concern over the phone. A week later he came home. Not a single thing about him had changed, same affectionate tone, same meticulous care. If If I hadn't been there that night, his Oscar-worthy act might have fooled me for life. A mind that calculating, a heart that mercenary, sent ice through my veins. For the first time I wondered, if I ever got in his way, would he wait until I was asleep and hack me into pieces? Maybe I'd watched one too many TikToks about husbands taking out life insurance, then harming their wives. Apparently I've developed full-blown murder paranoia. Christmas lights were still twinkling when Sterling's annual gala rolled around. I caught Chase polishing his speech, glancing at the pages. I asked casually, I heard family is invited this year, mind if I tag along? As I spoke I studied his face. The flicker of unease lasted only a second before he said, you're a major shareholder, of course you can come, but you've always hated these parties. Why the sudden interest? He reached for my hand. I sidestepped the contact. Curiosity, and I want to support your career. Chase blinked, his smile soft and indulgent. With playful affection he pinched my cheek. Serena, just having you there is all the support I need. The ghost of his fingers lingered on my skin like a stain. I froze, feeling as if I'd stepped in something foul. Ugh. My stomach lurched. The creamy soup I'd just swallowed came right back up, all over Chase. Chase was clearly stunned by my move. He froze on the spot. Only after a long moment did his brows knit deep and the veins at his temples twitch while he fumbled to fix the situation. The Sterling Gala that night was staged on a spectacular scale at a Manhattan ballroom. Chase wore a custom tuxedo like a gentleman carved out of marble. While he stood on stage delivering the year-end speech, I lingered at the very back, listening to coworkers shower him with praise. When he reached the thank yous, he laid the groundwork so thoroughly that he had almost thanked every last soul in the company. I watched the tension drain from his face, then glanced at Blair jittering in the front row. And finally, the one woman who means the most to me in this world, he declared, voice soaring. She's weathered every storm at my side. Without her support and encouragement, I'd never be where I am today. My best partner, my confidant. As his voice rose, I strolled to the foot of the stage, composed, and met his stare under the glare of the spotlight. Up there in the blazing light, I could see the cracks racing across his perfect mask. Blair was already half rising from her seat, so he had no choice. He jabbed a finger at me. My wife, Serena. Applause rolled through the ballroom in waves. I stepped into the spotlight, brushed past Blair, who stood frozen, and climbed the stairs, smiling. When I embraced him, I caught sight of Blair tearing out of the hall like a woman possessed. Chase's whisper was raw with irritation. I thought you weren't coming. Surprise, I murmured. Do you like it? After I took over Vance Cafe, I got into the habit of spending 2 hours at the flagship location in Brooklyn every morning around 10. Since discovering Chase's affair, all I'd thought about was how to ruin him. I hadn't once considered what I would do about the other woman. But if I didn't go looking for trouble, trouble came looking for me. I watched the woman brush past my barista and seat herself without permission. Honey brown waves, Chanel skirt suit, face delicate under light makeup, young, beautiful, arrogant. Blair lifted her chin. Serena, we've met. We had, aside from the gala, it was at a charity cocktail party a month earlier. I attended as a sponsor's guest. She showed up on Chase's arm, intimate as any devoted couple. My best friend had leaned in and whispered that trouble had arrived. I'd merely shrugged. What can I do for you, Vanderbilt? I asked, legs crossed, leaning back in unruffled ease. Blair gave a short laugh. Serena, we need to talk. Funny. I'd swear we're strangers. Serena, stop the act. I'm here to lay it on the table. Actually, my boyf, Blair. Chase's voice cracked across the cafe. Urgent. Panicked. I lifted a hand, smiling. Honey. He was still catching his breath when he slid into the chair beside me. I pretended not to notice the silent lightning they slung across the table. Sorry, Vanderbilt, I said brightly. I texted my husband to come keep me company. You were saying something about your boyfriend? The fight drained out of Blair. She pressed her lips shut. My gaze flicked between them, then dropped as a sneer flashed behind my eyes. The instant Blair left, I shoved Chase's arm away. He blinked, alarm rising. Serena, what's wrong? Chase, the boyfriend she meant just now. That's you, isn't it? Impossible. The denial leapt out, half an octave too high. Guilt scrawled all over it. His face stiffened. He raised 2 fingers like a pledge. Serena, I swear, if I ever betrayed you, may I drop dead on the spot. I stared at him. At last I curved my lips in a thin, cold smile. I believe you. The private investigator's update. 6 months ago Chase had ordered a full audit of our joint assets. Every month since, enormous sums had rotated through a maze of accounts. I stared at the photographs piling up on my screen. screen and felt the pieces click. He couldn't wait to empty the vault. The thought had barely surfaced when the divorce papers landed on my kitchen island. I laughed. What's this supposed to mean? Chase's patience had evaporated. Serena, don't say I never played fair. House and cars, mine. The change left in the checking account, yours. If I hadn't already seen the balance dip below 3,000, I'd wonder whether a mule had kicked his conscience awake. Convince me, I said, flipping 2 pages before sliding the stack back. Blair is pregnant. It's mine. I have to take responsibility. A laugh burst out of me, caustic and bright. Pregnant. Responsibility. You've known her 6 months, and suddenly you're a stand-up guy. What about the 8 years you've known me? Wasted years. His face darkened. Don't blame me. You refuse to give me a child. I'm a man. I need an heir. Someone has to think of the Mercer line. Smack. My palm cracked across his cheek. We agreed on child-free before we married. Now you throw that in my face. Pathetic. Chase reeled, eyes bloodshot when they refocused. His hand shot out, fingers clamping around my throat. Bitch. All these years I spoiled you, and this is how you dare to— Fine. Truth. I only married you for your money. With that temper, I wouldn't touch you if you begged. I never imagined we'd come to this, screaming hate, hands at each other's throats. His grip tightened like an iron collar. Breath slipping away didn't scare me. I glared, a slow grin splitting my lips. Hatred blazing. Chase, you want a divorce? House and cars, come to me, or forget it. Kill me tonight, and by tomorrow, every employee at Sterling will find high-def proof of your affair waiting in their inboxes. The instant the words left me, I was airborne. Glass exploded, coffee table, picture frames, shards slicing my forearms, blood blooming across the marble. Chase stepped through the wreckage, unruffled. I hauled myself upright, meeting his fury with ice. Serena, why can't we part like adults? Must it be scorched earth? You torched the bridge the second you cheated. Don't talk endings to me. My knees shook, cramps knifing through my abdomen, but I kept my spine straight. Tell me, Chase, if Blair weren't a Vanderbilt heiress, would you still swear she's your destiny? He snorted. Absolutely. Then congratulations on true love. The moment the words left my lips, Evelyn's excited voice rang in the foyer. She pushed through the door just as I let my body fold, collapsing in a graceful faint at her feet. Evelyn screamed, herbal tonics clattering across the floor as she lunged to cradle me. Richard loomed behind her, taking in the carnage, booming. Chase, what the hell is wrong with you? Serena's pregnant. You idiot. Too late. Warm crimson soaked my thighs, pooling beneath me like spilled confession. I could feel it slipping away, the child they had dreamed of, even though it would never be born. In a way, they had already seen it. When I came to, it was the next day. Neither Chase nor his parents were there. I hate hospitals, so I hired a home health aide and went home. By coincidence, the aide turned out to be the same woman who had handed me tissues in the hospital. The private investigator had bombarded me with messages. One said Chase had learned Blair wasn't a real Vanderbilt heiress. They had a street-side breakup. Blair refused to let go. Chase slapped her twice, and she tumbled down a flight of stairs, blood pooling beneath her. Someone uploaded footage of the scuffle to the company servers, and after a bit of creative editing, Chase's promotion dissolved. Now he's facing layoff. Only at death's door does regret arrive. Chase abandoned Blair, still weak in her hospital bed. He pivoted straight to a giant bouquet of roses and came trotting after me. Luckily, I'd tipped off security, shown them his photo, and they barred him at the gate. At first Chase kept his cool, but 3 straight days of closed doors ground down even his elastic pride. He cracked, then smashed the jar entirely, going so far as to send Richard and Evelyn to beg on his behalf, shameless to the core. On the 4th day, I agreed to let him in. The moment we faced each other, Chase dropped with a thud and knelt ramrod straight, kowtowed, apologized, wept, slapped himself. A textbook performance, absolutely priceless. It instantly brought to mind something the great Stephen King once wrote. He'll beg you. He'll even kneel. He'll slap his own face. Don't soften. He'll swear oath after oath. Men love swearing. Their promises are no different than a dog's bark. Don't believe it. I knew exactly what he wanted. Back when he was still with Blair, he'd sunk money into a bunch of side projects, every dollar vanishing like water down a drain. Then he secretly embezzled company funds, and soon the hole would be too big to hide. Prison time loomed. He laid it out for Blair, begging her to rescue him, but in a soap opera twist, he discovered Blair wasn't a true Vanderbilt. By then he was cornered. Realizing he'd been conned, he was furious, and helpless, so he crawled back to me, cheeks in hand. I wasn't in the mood to engage. Still, I accepted every gift without a word. Blair somehow heard Chase was playing lapdog at my place. Ignoring her own condition, she stormed over to confront me. I told Chase I had to host a cousin I hadn't seen in 10 years. I waved him off with visible disgust and ordered him to deal with the nuisance. After a few days at my beck and call, Chase was used to taking orders. Blair's love brain was terminal. No matter how vile Chase treated her, she could forgive and forget in a heartbeat. She rushed me, hand raised. Before she could touch a fold of my dress, Chase's foot shot out and kicked her aside. Blair hit the floor, her once delicate face twisted in pain, pale and wretched. Tears streamed as she stared at Chase. He never even glanced at her, heartless as a fishmonger who spent 20 years gutting carp at a New York City market. I crooked a finger. The housekeeper instantly stepped forward to help her up. Blair suddenly shrieked, "Get away, all of you. Get lost. I don't need anyone's pity. Chase, you'll regret today. I swear it." She hauled herself to her feet, clutching her cramping belly, and stormed off. Chase frowned, disgusted at the blood smear she'd left on the tiles. He spat, "TCH. Bad luck follows her." My scissors paused midair. "Chase, about the money you mentioned, I can plug the hole, but first every house and car we own gets signed over to me, plus our joint savings, 23 million, down to the last cent." His face froze. He studied my expression. "Serena, I'll agree to anything else, but that money, I literally can't get it right now. If you can't find it, someone can earn it for you." I shot him a look, then looked away in revulsion. His eyes lit up. The next second, he hesitated. I knew the worm in his brain. I laughed coldly. "Chase, I'm Serena, not some ungrateful, selfish, heartless rodent like you. Doubt me if you want, but I swear you'll never squeeze another dollar out of me." No, no, no. I believe you. Of course I do. After all, we were married. I know exactly what kind of person you are. But can I ask, how exactly are you going to help me earn it? Who said I'm helping? A friend of mine is. She owns 6 companies across Europe and Asia. Just flew back to expand in the US. She hasn't been home in years and needs someone smart, someone who knows the terrain, to give her a hand. Her investments have paid off. She's flush. I watched his face as I spoke. The glee he tried to hide lifted the corners of his eyes. I blinked, a slow, meaningful smile curling my lips. I excused myself on the pretext of an appointment. I left Chase to attend to my friend himself. The driver had just pulled up outside when I spotted Blair curled on the curb, shaking. "You okay?" At the sound of my voice, she lifted her head weakly. The sight of her tear-streaked face startled me and struck me as absurd. "Blair, you're still a Vanderbilt by upbringing. Your father poured 20 years into polishing you, gave you a life most people only dream of, shipped you to the best boarding schools money can buy, and this is how you repay him. Reduced to this wreck over a man?" I tried to pull her up, but she dug in like a mule, deaf to reason. "Get lost, Serena. You must be thrilled. Chase is crawling back to you. Happy now?" I felt heat flood my chest, looking at her bloodless face. I told myself to let it go. Then I remembered unswallowed anger breeds cysts, so I didn't swallow it. My palm met her cheek at 60% strength. "Blair, wake the hell up. Nobody except you treats a piece of garbage like treasure. Can't you see? Chase never loved me, and he sure as hell doesn't love you. He loves money. When he looks at us, he sees profit margins. Nothing more. We're just stepping stones on his climb. Useful. He'll coddle you. In the way, he boots you aside." Blair stared blankly, as if the slap had reset her brain. I glanced at the dark stain spreading between her thighs, and my stomach clenched. To the hospital we went. I stayed with Blair until she woke. She lay motionless, calm at last. I figured there was no point lingering. I turned to leave. "Serena, why did you do this to me?" I paused, not sure what she meant. "I'm saying, you know perfectly well I was the other woman who barged in and wrecked your relationship. That I'm the reason you two look like this now. That because of me you lost a child. So why are you still choosing to help me?" "Blair, I'm not the saint you imagine. In my world there's no helping, only whether I feel like doing something. And I'm not only doing it for you. After 8 years, if you hadn't shown up I might still be clueless about what kind of man Chase really is. I know you both have blood on your hands, but he's my husband in name, and when he screws up and tramples my bottom line, I'll punish him my way. As for you, I don't have the energy to care what happens. Even without you, there would have been a third, a fourth. Flies don't land on eggs without cracks. The rot starts with him. Still, I think you should be happy. Seeing a man's true colors early is always worth congratulations." Blair kept her head down, saying nothing. I gave her a glance, clicked my stilettos, and strode off. Outside St. Anne's Hospital, my phone buzzed. "Lydia, the fish took the bait, but he's jumpy. keeps trying to feel me out. Lydia, Serena, you sure he still has over 20 million? I called up the keyboard and answered without hesitation, positive. Chase grew up dirt poor in rural Alabama. One cornbread muffin was stretched across 3 meals. Because of that poverty, he was looked down on his entire childhood, and inferiority clung to him like a second skin. So he studied like mad and chased money like his life depended on it. Our story began with cash, too. Sophomore year of high school. Because of my parents' jobs, I was shipped back to my hometown in Ohio for school. There was another reason. Dad had cheated. He and Mom were duking it out in divorce talks, yet they were terrified of upsetting me. They thought they'd hidden it perfectly. I knew everything. That's when I turned rebellious. Cutting classes, blowing off homework. I paid people to finish every assignment. My family was loaded, and Mom and Dad spoiled me rotten. I'd never wanted for love or luxuries, which trained me to burn money like it grew on trees. I discovered Chase could copy my handwriting so well the teachers never smelled a rat, so I had him do my work every day. He needed money. I threw it around like confetti. Back and forth. We got familiar. One afternoon after school, Chase was cornered in an alley. A bunch of neighborhood thugs who styled themselves the local king. Whenever they were bored or broke, they'd shake down kids for protection. The whole thing could have been solved with cash, but Chase wouldn't hand over a dime. He came out of it bruised and swollen. A man who's tasted penniless terror values money over life itself. I've seen him when he didn't have a single cent, so if he'd really burned through everything like he claims, he'd be frantic by now. He sure wouldn't be calmly wasting time with me. 2 days later, Chase showed up with a brand new smile. The house and car we talked about. I've already got people on the paperwork. I was in Vance Cafe, an at-home manicurist at my side designing one-of-a-kind nail art. Chase stood nearby, spine straight, no trace of the cringing wretch from days before. I glanced at the bodyguard beside me. He pulled a folder from his briefcase. No need for you to spend a penny on trivia, darling. The paperwork's done, just your signature and thumbprint. I spoke in no hurry, voice lazy and aristocratic. I didn't even waste a look on him. Chase's composure almost cracked. Under the hulking guard's stare, he snatched the contract, flipped a couple of pages, and snapped it shut. Serena, do you have to be this petty? I let out a short, icy laugh. Petty? Chase, you've known me for years. Household expenses, all routed through my accounts. Your job, your investments, your stock plays, seed money skimmed from me. Is my cash just monopoly money to you, fun to toss around, never to return? I lifted my chin, dominance radiating. If you'd rather not cough it up, we'll see each other in court, but I'm betting you don't want that. You know you're the guilty party here. One whiff of your cheating and I can push for a clean slate divorce. You leave with nothing. Chase left empty-handed. He'd barely scrawled his name when a stylish silhouette glided through the door. I tucked the contract away, satisfaction humming, and caught the calculating gleam that leapt into his eyes. Serena, when you don't pick up, I know I'll find you here. Lydia, what brings you? Lydia slid off her Chanel shades. Behind her, several men in black hauled glossy shopping bags crammed with designer loot. Just finished shopping on Fifth Avenue. Saw tons of stuff perfect for you, so I bought it all, she chirped. Then, as if noticing Chase for the first time, clapped dramatically. Serena, the boy toy you hooked me up with, gold mine. I tailed his investment tip and made a few million in 2 days. I smiled. A few million is pocket change to you. True. Speaking of which, I've got another play, zero risk. Fat return. We're talking at least this much. Lydia flashed 2 fingers. I yawned. You know me, Lydia. I don't care about those games. I already have more than enough. Her grin froze. The nail design popped up on the tablet just then. Something just came up, I said, rising. See you. I left without a backward glance. Lydia clicked her tongue at my back. Poser. Chase's eyes darted. Sis Lydia, care to cut me into that play? You, forget it. You owe Serena a fortune. Where would you find cash to play with us? His pupils dilated. I've got it. Over 30 million in my account. Christmas melted into New Year's. The cafes ran promos. I killed time lounging in my flagship, scrolling Chase's feed, tycoons, influencers, yachts, supercars, clubs, country hopping 3 times a week, living the dream. I curved my lips, tapped a heart on his latest post from Miami. My phone buzzed the next second, an incoming transfer alert. 50 million. Chase rang. I answered, grinning. He spewed acid from the other end. I couldn't care less. I knew the truth. His carnival ride was over. Next stop, bottomless hell. We met one last time before the countdown, signed the divorce decree, and collected our certificates. Outside, a lurid scarlet supercar idled. The window slid down. Lydia's gaze settled on my face. I stared back, a slow, mocking smile blooming. New Year's Eve, I treated the whole staff to a blowout feast. Afterward, I waited on the curb for my driver, and ran into Chase first. Face ash gray. World collapsed at his feet. The man's eye sockets were sunken, the white streaked with crimson, the lids smudged violet. Under the fluorescent lights his face looked as pale as a ghost's. He startled me. Chase lunged at me like a madman, his features twisted. Luckily I've always kept in shape. Years of Muay Thai meant he was no match. The tall man crashed to the ground beneath my heel, pinned and motionless. A white Bentley slid to a halt in front of me. Blair stepped out, staring at the scene in stunned disbelief. "What are you doing here?" I asked, perfectly calm. Blair hadn't answered when the one on the ground panicked first. "Blair, save me. Please save me. This woman's lost it. She's going to destroy me." Blair hesitated, looking down at him. Then, under Chase's hopeful gaze, she walked over. The pointed toe of her stiletto boot ground viciously into the back of his hand. "Pa, you old scumbag. Save you my ass. The only reason I'm not killing you is out of respect for the law." Chase bared his teeth in agony, howling like a dying ghost. You're in this together." "No, impossible. You're supposed to be tearing each other apart. Shut your trap, you lunatic." Blair grabbed his collar and slapped him hard. "Serena, tell me, did you plant Lydia beside me to set me up? She got me to invest, then ran off with every dollar. I can't find her. Give me my money back. Now." "Chase, can't you take a loss? It was all mutual consent. Call that a scam?" I laughed at him. "Bull. You women seduced me." Smack. I slapped him. "Looks like you won't cry till you see the coffin. You were stupid enough to be played. And when you lose you blame us women. Do we owe you anything? We don't. Yet you keep taking." "Chase, I nailed you before. You're a counterfeit human. Selfish and insatiable. What's happening to you is exactly what you deserve." Chase's face turned vicious. "Who are you to judge? I just want to climb. To get rich. What's wrong with that? I wasn't born in Rome like you. If I didn't fight I'd be dead." Excuses. My breath came heavy. Words crowded my tongue, but seeing his lack of remorse drained every desire to keep talking. Sirens wailed, closer and closer, as they shoved Chase into the cruiser. The New Year's countdown suddenly rang out in the distance. 10, 9, 8, 7, 3, 2, 1. Bursts of brilliant fireworks bloomed overhead. I tilted my head back. Without thinking I murmured, "It's the new year." "Yeah," Blair answered. "A whole new year starts now." We looked at each other and smiled in perfect understanding. Footsteps sounded behind us. I turned. Lydia had traded her sleek sexy dress for plain, clean clothes. A little toddler by the hand. The moment the girl saw me she tugged free and ran over. I hesitated, then lifted her into my arms. "Serena, Pearl and I came to say goodbye. Thank you for the life-saving money. I don't know how my little Pearl would have managed without it." "It's nothing, Lydia. Happy to help. And you helped me too. After all, if she hadn't bumped into me at St. Catherine's Hospital that day, I wouldn't have been delayed just long enough to run into Chase." Everything felt like a butterfly effect. Chase's embezzlement was massive and unreturned. He drew 10+ years in prison. A month later I went to see him. His head was shaved, his body wrecked. When we sat face to face I said slowly, "Let me share a few secrets. Chase, Blair is the Vanderbilt family's real, bona fide heiress. The fake heiress stunt happened because her father couldn't stand you. And she was love blind, so they cooked up that lousy plan. And your investments these past few years, guess why they went nowhere? Because I was pulling the strings behind the curtain. Give a man money and he turns rotten. I just underestimated how rotten you could get." I enunciated every word, watching his face darken. Finally, I laughed out loud. The visit ended. Outside, Blair was waiting in her white Bentley. She lifted her chin, carefree. "Come on, let's go live it up." We cruised down the highway. Winter sun poured over us, warming even the heart. Blair drove while indie folk played through the Bluetooth. The wind ran wild. Time felt delicious. And my good days were only beginning. Epilogue. My name is Lydia. I wasted most of my life on one man. When he bolted, he left me a sick daughter. At first I cried every day. Then, for her sake, I pulled myself together. But her illness ground us down. One day the doctor said it had worsened. More tests. Chemo ahead. I understood the facts. Yet chemo costs a fortune. Every penny I'd scraped together had gone to her care. I had nothing left. I ran from the hospital, blind with tears, and crashed into someone on the way. I hid in the garden and sobbed for half an hour. When I finally went back to wash my face, the woman I'd bumped into was bent over a sink, vomiting, afraid I'd caused it. I fussed over her. The next time I saw her was inside the same hospital. She was looking for a carer. The nurse said she was loaded. Luckily, she picked me. Only after I moved in did I learn her husband had beaten her. I couldn't grasp how any man could lay a hand on a woman so beautiful and gifted. I kept my head down and worked hard. Soon she approached me again. Do one thing for her and she'd cover my daughter's medical bills. I agreed without asking questions. My daughter is my life. I can't lose her. She told me to seduce her husband. I could hardly believe it. She repackaged me until I barely recognized myself. I didn't understand her aim until spending time with him made it clear. Men, no matter the kind, are all the same. They fold under temptation. Luckily the plan went off without a hitch. She kept her promise and even handed me a legitimate career. On my first real day at work it hit me. Before marriage, I'd been the top graduate everyone praised from a famous university. I know I'll never forget her. Thank you for listening to today's story. If you liked it, please like and share with friends. We look forward to your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more exciting tales. See you next time.